Shirley here, editor of Profile Magazine, and we are back for another series of Profile TV where we're introducing you to another fearless feminine founder. Her name is Bettina. She owns Sirens Swimwear. I'm a bit excited to be chatting to you today because one of the things I loved when I read through your questions was that you've, I think, had 15 different companies before you landed with your beautiful swimwear range. And I want to chat more to you about that, because I think we as women, you know, feel like we fail a little bit if we don't succeed at one thing. And I love the fact that you've tried so many things before you've found your niche. So let's dive in a bit deep about that. And hello, welcome.
Hi, Tam. How are you? My Sirens is actually business number 13. I have another 2 since then. But yeah, I think the important message there is that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to try things. And my journey has just been that I would predominantly buy businesses. I'm not much for startups, but I would, although I do have one at the moment, I would buy a business and then I would work in that until I realized what else I needed to learn. So buying Sirens was about learning how to sell online and learning how to import and export, because I hadn't done that before. So I was specifically looking for a business that was online so that I could experiment with doing those things. Yeah.
So walk us through, I guess, take us back to the beginning. You left school, early 20s, wanting to dive into...
Oh, left school at 16.
You're a bit like, the thing I love, I think, about your story is I resonate so much with it because I left school at 16, and I often get now to people saying, oh, you know, you do so much. I don't understand what you actually do. And I'm thinking, do we have to be categorized into one box in business? And I know now you have 3 companies, but take us back to the beginning about when you left school. What was your passion? What was your drive? Where did you want to go? And then I guess the segue into starting your own first business and how those stepping stones went through to business number 15.
Yeah, I think I started out, when I left school, I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. But as I was sort of going through high school, I had a neighbour who taught me how to sew. So I decided really early that I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I left school when I finished year 10. My father was absolutely distraught about that because, you know, I was the smart kid and I should have gone on and done, you know, year 12 and gone to uni. So I did, and I left and I went to fashion school in Sydney and I lasted like 3 months. It was not for me. I was just not that creative, to be honest. So I left there and went back to do my own gigs. And one of those first things, actually the first thing that I did when I left there, I'd had some businesses before that, window dressing and things in that sort of fashion and creative type of industry. But I went and managed a fabric store for a woman who had a chain of fabric stores, and she became a mentor of mine. Fantastic lady, Jan, and she taught me so much. And so from there, this was sort of all out west New South Wales as a country girl, and really didn't know much. I was quite naive, and so I just listened to everything that everybody would tell me, and I was just really good at going and doing whatever they said. So I did that, and then decided after I had a major car accident that and I was in a neck brace for a year, and I couldn't do anything looking down, like drawing or sewing or anything like that. And so I decided that I kind of needed to shift what I was doing. And so I moved to the Gold Coast, as you do, and decided that I could just land there and get a job and do whatever I wanted. And my mother was horrified. She says, you cannot move to another town without getting a job first. And I'm like, you just watch me. So I did. I moved there.
The Gold Coast, you probably could just like lay on your towel all day in the sun. Don't have to look.
Well, I landed there. And of course, what are all the jobs in the papers? They're all for real estate. So I'm like, I'll do that. So I joined real estate. I learned lots about sales and marketing. And then from there, I started a marketing company, not on the Gold Coast, but I moved to the Sunshine Coast actually and started a marketing company and then started traveling with that. And then maybe 5 or so years later, that was quite successful. We ran big $1 million promotions. And once again, I had a really good leader that I contracted to and just learnt lots from. And he backed me. So I found you who would really hold you accountable and at the same time would really back you if you ran into somebody that was challenging. They would talk me through, well, what's going on in their life and how are you perceiving this and just how to look at it differently. So that was kind of all through my sort of 20s and into my 30s. And then in my 30s, I read a book by Brad Sugars, and I think it was called something like How to Buy a Business with No Money or No Money Down or something like that. And of course, me being me, I read it step by step and went, oh, okay, is that what you do? So I actually went and worked for a magazine, and I went to them and I said, can I work in the homewares section? And they said, we don't have a homewares section of our glossy colour magazine. And I'm like, well, you should. And they said, well, do you want to start that section? But it's a minimum of 4 pages. And I'm like, yeah. So I started that section and we built it out. And within months, we had like half the magazine full of homewares. It was great. But my mission was actually to find a business to buy in the homeware space. To go out and meet different businesses until I found the right one, which I ended up buying a business in that area. And with no money and negotiated that and did it, followed exactly the steps. And as soon as I'd done that, I actually called their office and said, oh, I'm wondering if I can speak to Brad because I've read his book. And she's like, oh yeah, that's great, blah, blah, you know. And I said, no, I don't think you understand. I've read his book and now I've done exactly what he said and I bought a business. Where's book number 2? What do I do now? So, and they were like, oh, nobody ever does what we tell them to. So, so I had that business and then out of there grew another business and then I sold those and then moved on to more businesses and just learned how to buy and sell businesses. And then I tried in real estate and did exactly the same thing in real estate, which was another big adventure. A girlfriend sat me down and just gave me 2 laptops and said, okay, this is a mentor of mine at the time and who's now my bestie. And she said, I was living with her at the time and she said, I'm going to New Zealand for a week. Here's 2 laptops. Here's all the houses for sale. Here's all the houses for rent. By the time I get back, this is how to do it. By the time I will get back, I want you to have bought a house with no money down. And I'm like, really? And anyway, by the time she got back, not only had I bought a house, no money down, but I'd moved out and moved into that house. So I think I just followed directions. But I followed directions because they made logical sense. And not just because it was, well, this feels right, because nothing ever feels right when it's really uncomfortable. So I stopped listening to the fear and just said, if you give me the steps, then I can achieve that. So I took the steps and then would proceed from there. And I learned how to do that in each business after that.
Do you think that you have that entrepreneurial spark and that's why, or have you just felt like along the way you've learnt from each bit of those 15 companies to now go, I'm going to go and start my own company. I know all these aspects of things because I've learnt them throughout my career and I'm ready to go and start my own business.
I think that I definitely had the entrepreneurial spark from a very young age, but I think that it didn't come out of any factor of business knowledge. What it came from was the fact that if I knew what I wanted a way to be able to get it. So when you're in your 20s, you look at something and go, I want to buy that handbag. And I grew up in a house where you couldn't afford anything and you weren't allowed to live beyond your means. And I'm like, but that's what I want. And so I want to do the norm. I guess I was quite rebellious. So not doing the norm was really important to me, and definitely not doing the whole 9 to 5 and doing what my dad told me, got to get a job, got to get a career, got to, it's like, I do not want to do that ever. So it was really out of being rebellious is more where my entrepreneurial spark comes from. And still to this day, I just want to have a lifestyle. I don't want to work hard. So that was important to me. It was to have that freedom and the feeling that working was free, not restricting.
Yeah. And you've sort of gone back to now roots, because you started when you left school in the fashion industry, and now you've started this beautiful swimwear company. Tell us a little bit about that and why you went into that industry.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a 360. I looked back at that and went, oh my goodness, I started in fashion. Now I'm in fashion again. And everybody just assumes that, I'm a big fashionista, which I'm not. But I didn't start the business. The business started about 10 years ago, and I bought it about 3 years in from some lovely ladies in Sydney. And they had worked it as a home-based business and got it to a certain point. And then I took it on. And in that first year, one of my rules is coming up with about 10 ideas immediately, dumping them all in the business and seeing what works. And then get rid of everything that didn't work and take the one golden egg and run with that for that year. And so I tried everything. And I did everything wrong. I opened up shops. I started wholesaling all over the country. I sold on other people's websites. We went and did big markets all around the country, and I had my online business. And I just spread myself so thin. It was crazy. And I learnt within 2 years of that, I had a very unexpected, very quick marriage breakdown. And I have a son with multiple disabilities. So a very hectic kind of, how am I going to do this epiphany one day when I woke up and I went, oh my goodness, I've got to re-sign a lease and I'm going to be at that side of town and I've got to manage 5 people here and 15 over there. And I just don't know how I'm going to do it. And so in the end, I went, this is craziness. And we hadn't had any growth online for the previous 2 years. We had done in the first season, but then 2 years since then, we hadn't had any growth. And so I had no reason to look at my numbers and go, I'm going to choose online as my avenue. But my data told me that that's where the profit margins were, and that that's also the only way that I could actually manage the business as a lifestyle business. So what I did was I closed the store, and I stopped wholesaling, and I stopped selling on everybody else's site. And I basically, literally overnight, halved our turnover. But in that year, I tripled our profit. Mm-hmm. So that for me was a big aha moment. And that's when I started being extremely passionate about profitable lifestyle businesses. Yeah. That's basically what stemmed out of there. And then that has inspired me to go ahead with a couple of other businesses, which I've done in conjunction with other people who have worked with me along the way. And everybody that I work with, everybody that's either employed by me or as a contractor to me, has exactly the same conditions that I do, that you work from anywhere you like, any hours that you want, and you're only to work on the one very thing that you're really, really passionate about. Yeah. And so everybody loves what they do, which is super, super cool.
You mentioned, I think along the way, we feel, I think, that we fail if things don't work. And I love the fact that you closed businesses down and you pulled resources in because you saw things weren't working. Whereas some women, I guess, might think, oh, I failed,
Oh yeah.
big and, you know, and now I've got to be small again, but they're not. Like, I guess walk us through that feeling and that emotion around, well, it's not actually failure. It's a better, I guess, you know, like reining in your, being able to look at your business, I guess, and rein it in, but still, as you said, triple your profits. But I think we have this mindset of like, oh, you know, I had 3 stores and I had this and I had that, and now I've only got this, you know, and that
yeah, it's interesting because that whole identity thing is a real issue for all of us who are entrepreneurs. I think we really identify with who we are by what we do and how that is represented. And I was just at a ecomm business function last night, and the number one question that was asked around the table was, oh, how many staff do you have? And I was like, oh my goodness, the number one problem that I see in businesses is that they have cash flow issues and staffing issues. It's like, why is it that if you've got more staff, you're better and bigger and more successful? Because usually you're not.
Oh, yeah.
So that was interesting for me. And then as I got to have deeper conversations with some of the ladies who run businesses similar to mine, they were all having their own little aha moments of, yeah, like I've never wanted to close down. One of the ladies said to me, I've never wanted to close down my store because I thought that I had to offer this service. But her store is actually in Brisbane. And I said to her, so where do most of your sales come from? And she's like, Melbourne. I'm like, so why do you need a store in Brisbane? You really, it feels like your security, but really your main market's in Melbourne. If you just focus on Melbourne, you'll thrive. So just, I think in mentoring some other women that I mentor in the e-com fashion space specifically, the permission, I think, is the biggest thing that they have got out of working with me, is just the permission to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to make some decisions differently and I can feel backed and supported. Remember how I said, like, my mentors always backed me. They always supported me in the decisions. And I think that there are so many people out there being entrepreneurs who think that they just have to make all their decisions based on what everybody else is doing. And most people are kind of doing it, you know, tough. So they're doing it the hard way rather than, you know, making more money the easy way. So allowing yourself to make those decisions and just having somebody to back you, having some support around that, to know that you're actually making the right choice rather than the wrong choices.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, we back up all of our decisions with data. I'm a massive data junkie.
Well, I think, you know, flexible business, isn't it? I mean, you can't just go and make decisions off whims because you wake up one morning and think, I want to do things this way. I think you've got to look at it as, well, what's making me money, and keeping it really simple. Where is it where I'm making the money? Let's put all our resources there.
Yeah, and sometimes I guess you can't make those decisions because you're not making the money there yet. But if you explore deeper into the data, you can see that if you put a certain amount of resource into that you would.
Yep.
So I had, for example, outsourced my Facebook marketing to 3 top agencies here in Australia over the years, and not one of them had got me a result. And that made me really frustrated. I'm like, these guys are top in their field. Why is that? So then I went and employed one of them. I hired one to actually just work with me directly to get me to logically understand the process side of Facebook. And then I went and applied everything that I knew about my brand and about my customers, because I knew my customers really, really well. And I think that this is the thing with most fashion e-com brands, is they do know their customers, but they expect somebody else to be able to project that for them. And that just doesn't quite work like that. So in being able to understand how to run my ads myself, I learned about, I have a swimwear company, so I'm very seasonal. So in a winter, I learned all about how to do that. And then in the summer, I applied what I knew, and that was so huge that we sold out before we even hit peak season. So it was like, okay, now I understand where, if I put my resources into that part, why the growth is there.
Mm.
So I think sometimes it just takes some understanding of what the potential is. And because I've had so many experiences in so many different businesses, I could source out and see exactly where the leverage was. Whereas if it's your first one and you haven't experienced lots of different leverage, it's sometimes hard to know where that is.
Yeah. You mentioned before too about, you started your business and you've sort of had a marriage breakdown and you've got a child with a few disability issues. How do you do it all? How do you run a business, run a company, work in the business, keep your family afloat, keep your son, all going at once?
Yeah. I don't work more than 4 hours a day. I outsource, I delegate pretty much everything. So my Sirens business is run by this lovely, absolutely beautiful girl who's a mother of 5. She lives in the Blue Mountains in Sydney. She works, everything is very ordered, shift them off to the warehouse and handle the customer emails within 3 hours a day at any time. And she runs that entire business, and I've never even mentioned how to get the leverage right components of the business and how to employ those people correctly. I think when you get that, then everything is limitless. Just able to do so much more. And I had to be able to work my time around my availability with my son. And then other times where I actually wanted to dive deep into a project and I wanted to be able to work day and night and get up at 3 a.m. because I was inspired to do that. And so I needed to have lots and lots of flexibility. So one of the number one nation where network around you, I couldn't do it without my friends. I don't have family here, so I've relied heavily on my friends being there and involved, and in particular just to support me.
Yeah.
In those times where everything about my day and about things that have gone wrong with my son, or my relationship or whatever it is that's happening at the time, and I just need to be able to have a bit of a break. And I spend lots of time traveling and having breaks.
Yeah.
I think that if you can't keep a clear head, I used to be stressed all the time, and it's like, if you can't keep a clear head, then you're spending way too many hours in your business doing all the wrong things. Yep. So being able to keep a clear head, it's pretty important to be able to grow your business. Yeah.
You mentioned about traveling, which is something that I love to do, but I think, we as women need to be very conscious of self-care and looking after ourselves and taking time out, as you said, for ourselves. It's really important. So what do you do to get yourself, give yourself a bit of space and a bit of time and give yourself some self-care?
Okay. There is a number of things that anyone who knows me really well knows I'm an absolute food junkie. And I love my gin. So tapas and wine or gin in the afternoon is essential. I live with a beautiful city view. So really absorbing and being present in the moment when I get those breaks. And you can do that anywhere. Like just sitting down and having a cup of tea or a coffee, and really soaking it up and really being present into what you love about it. People laugh at me when I eat food, because I will be going out to eat food and everybody will be talking and hooking in, and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. And I will just be soaking into this bit of food that I'm having at the time, like I did with my dessert last night. It was so good. And I think that really giving yourself the things that you really love, just really go deep with them. Whether it's having a bubble bath or, you know, your coffee, when you get to drink it, don't just have it as a thing on the run. And so for me, it's food, and being able to just sit and absorb and enjoy like every bite. And the other one is dancing. I love to dance. So it's a great form of exercise for me and release for me. So anytime that anybody is going anywhere where there is a party and I get to dance, I am always there. It's just a bit of fun. It keeps everything in my life fresh and free. So yeah, they're the things that I love.
Do you have a balance when it comes to work? I know I'm very strict on, you know, I work from like say 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. So don't take phone calls on a weekend, don't respond to emails, you know, all that sort of. Do you have a routine, or do you have a structure where you do just shut down so you're not available 24/7? I think we live in a society now where it's like people think business is 24/7, and I think we need to re-educate them to go, well, we've actually got lives outside of business, otherwise we're going to burn out. Do you have a routine, like, and where you've got like there's a non-negotiable, let's cut this off?
Yes, I do. So I have a very strict routine that each day I have a focus of what I work on. So every Monday, I'm actually working on planning what I need that to look at any future plans. On a Tuesday is my Numbers Day on a Tuesday, because my financial day is just analysing data and an accountant and doing anything that so I don't talk to anybody on a Tuesday. And then on a Wednesday is my people day. So once I got all of the real jobs out, I need to meet with staff. Then Thursday and Friday are creative and social days. So if I'm speaking to a tech company about anything that's got to, or a company that's got a plug-in of an app or any of those things, I schedule them for a Thursday, and then on a Friday is very much social day. So any time that I can meet with somebody for breakfast, lunch, coffee, dinner, it's all done on a Friday. And that is the preset for my weekend, so that on a weekend I do not work and I spend that time. Look, it's never been like this, but I dating this wonderful man who is just my zen, my peace, and he has this ability to shut down from his big management job and be able to not think. And so on the weekends, I've managed to practice that as well and do activities like renovating and gardening and going and doing social activities where I'm really not thinking about my work at all. And once I've been doing that for a good year now and just not thinking about those things, that has really been really refreshing for my week, because when I come in on a Monday, my mind is not bogged down with everything that has just been buzzing over and over and over in my mind, which is normally what happens. And some meditation, you know. You really need to be able to learn how to switch off.
Yeah, exactly. Who, when it comes to business and probably life as well, who champions you?
I have lots of mentors, different things. So I have one that will talk to me about, strategic financing matters. Another someone who will talk to me about business concepts and ideas and will really shut down anything that is just crazy. Because we all come up with bright, shiny objects. Oh, I want to do this now, I want to do that now, and can really shut that down. And then I have other ones that I'm inspired by. So I have a tech startup, and I have people in that tech world who just have done amazing things and worked for amazing companies in the US. And so I hang out with them because I love to soak up where I'm heading. And I think you are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang out with. So, hang out with people who are up above, like where you want to go, and then reach down and take people with you. I think that's, a really good flow.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've just starting a new tech company. I think it kicks off next year. Are you in the process of doing all of that? So walk us through why you wanted to start yet another business and talk to us about that company.
Yeah. So after Sirens sort of stabilized with having everything very, very automated, and I actually I decided to travel for a year, and it was a bit of a disaster because I ended up in hospital several times. So once was with a broken leg after skiing. And so I learned from there that I actually didn't need to work in my business because I had to have 8 weeks off. And when I came back, everything had actually increased more than when I was there. So I was like, oh my goodness, this team is magic. I should not show up anymore. So that was really cool to have that reality. But it also made me realize that, okay, well, if I've created an automated lifestyle out of this, then how do I help others to do that? Because I'm very passionate about people being able to have time as well as have money. So what I realized is one of the reasons why Sirens had been so successful was because of this tech that we had built. And so we built 4 different versions of it over the last 3 or 4 years. We're up to version 5 now, and version 5 is where we can plug that tech into other people's ecomm sites. And what the tech allows you to do is to be able to significantly increase your average spend from a customer, because a customer is actually quite expensive to acquire. And Facebook has worked that out really well and now are charging accordingly. So it's becoming dearer and dearer all the time. So when you get a client from Facebook, you really need to be able to maximize the acquisition. So being able to double what a customer spends was really what the platform was allowed us to do. And it provided a service where we have thousands of raving fans. So that in itself created this snowball effect, because we weren't looking at it from how can we flog more stuff to customers. We were looking at it from the aspect of how do we provide this amazing service to customers that they, out of that, just buy more and refer more. And that's exactly what happened. So we've basically built it so that it is an automated system, so that you don't need to have all of these staff to operate it. And then the second thing is that it has these marketing plugins so that it gives you lots of opportunities to be able to sell more and resell to your customers. And then it has a flow-on effect of those raving fans. So been working on it for a long time. I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, and really excited that we'll be doing a launch next year. And we'll be doing some trials first with maybe about 10 different e-com stores, and then we'll be launching it sort of maybe April or mid next year. So so that's really exciting, and that's a global thing. So that will lead back into lots of travel and things like that. But I will one of my focuses is for it not to affect my lifestyle. So in knowing that that is the outcome, being able to help other labels to have a good lifestyle. I don't want this to take over my lifestyle. So having a really good operational base and having great ops manager and tech manager and stuff like that is essential, so that that business can fly without me holding it back, and I can still have that freedom to be able to think clearly and advise really clearly, and stay in my flow of just doing the things that I'm really good at. And everybody else staying in their flow and doing the things that they're really good at as well.
What would you say are your three key, three key successes in your business?
Three key successes.
Yeah, sort of like your three key factors to your success, I guess.
I would think that it's all around time. I think managing your time well, managing to spend time with your friends and relationships well, and being able to manage the time that you spend on yourself, the time that you spend in your community, the things that you're passionate about. All of those things require time, and we feel, I think, a lot of the time as an entrepreneur that we are so busy just trying to get things working that it becomes this chaos zone of this real self-focus. And I think that when that switches, the flow becomes pretty amazing.
Yeah. What would you say would be your, in regards to business success, what are your top 5 key tips you can give to inspire our viewers today?
Okay, top 5. Get a mentor or many in the specific areas that you believe that you need assistance with at that time. That has hands down been the fastest way for me to make good decisions and make clear decisions, be able to back myself. Another one is that 99% of this game is all in your head. It's all about how you think about what you're doing and how you're attracting what you're doing. So definitely work on the self-development part. That is what makes the difference, definitely. The other things, I think for me, and it won't be for everybody, but one of my tips would be stop looking to the world as to how they are doing it, because most of them aren't doing it really well. So start reflecting on how do you want your journey to look and how do you develop it in that way. So how do you purposely design your own life? I think that is the only way that you're going to really be happy. Am I up to 5 yet? No. 4 would be help others. Like, how do you help others to be able to get them success? Because so much of the journey is riding along with other people who you're inspired by, and they're inspired by you. And when you run in sync with that, that's when you just create so much momentum. And that's probably my 5th one, momentum. Oh my goodness, get some momentum. And when you get it, run with it. because momentum creates a massive big wave. So if you're struggling with getting some traction, find some small wins daily. Just focus on just the things that are going to give you wins. Don't focus on your to-do list. Just look for the wins. As soon as you get the momentum with the wins, then the wins can get bigger and bigger. And the to-do list kind of just bogs you down. So focus on how to get those big wins that are really going to make you feel, because remember, it's all in here. So when it makes you feel this way, then you can get your head around all of the other things that have got to happen, and you can make clearer decisions, and you can wipe out all the clutter, simplify your life, and move forward.
Now, is there any last words of wisdom before we say goodbye to you today?
I think, look, there are so many people out there who don't feel like you're alone. Like, reach out to people. There's people in your magazine. I read your magazine each month, and I'm so inspired by different people, and it's like, I want to contact her and I want to speak to her, and I reach out. Never feel like
People are.
You're kind of stuck in an area. Everybody is human, and we're really all just making the same kinds of mistakes, or we've all been there before. So reach out and get connected. I think it's really important.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for having this chat today. I've been inspired by your story, and I love it. It really resonates with me, especially along the paths that I've sort of done as well. But thank you so much, and I hope our viewers have gotten a lot out of today's conversation. Thank you, and keep shining, and we'll see you in 2020 doing bigger and better things, no doubt.
Awesome. Yes, thank you, Tam. Bye.